Bharat Nirman. Before his presentation, I'd like to request Professor Vasco Kakoti, Joint Coordinator of this workshop, to introduce our speaker, sir. Over to you, Kakoti, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dipendas, for giving me the opportunity to introduce Dr. Jayanta Krishna Sharma, sir, before the participants. Welcome you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Professor Jayanta Krishna Sharma, sir, Department of Political Science, Guwahati University. Professor Sharma, sir, passed master degree in political science from Guwahati University and also got prestigious PhD degree also from Guwahati University. He has the degree of Bachelor of Legislative Law, which is LLB, from Guwahati University. I feel very proud to intimate you that he is the recipient of postdoctoral fellow from Texas, Austin. The academic areas of Professor Jayanta Sharma, sir, is twofold. It includes public administration, policy studies, Northeast studies, Panchayat Raj system, and also development studies. May I take the privilege to introduce before you one of the vibrant educator of this time, Professor Jayanta Krishna Sharma, sir. Sir, now the platform is yours. In this technical session 2, Dr. Jayanta Krishna Sharma, sir, will deliver, and he is ready with the theme governance, good governance, and Bharat Nirman. Over to you, Dr. Jayanta Krishna Sharma, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you all the participants, organizers of this prestigious national workshop. I'd like to present a very wonderful topic. Just I'm trying to show you the PowerPoint that it's basically on governance, good governance, and related to sustainable development and Bharat Nirman. So just I'm presenting. Share screen. Okay. So is it visible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, nice. So specifically, I have slightly modified the title, that is good governance, where governance is being incorporated, sustainable development, and Bharat Nirman, the issues and challenges. And I'll speak relating itself to some extent with National Education Policy 2020, as we are trying to focus nowadays as academics on national education policy. So if we look at the whole idea of governance, as we are trying to look at, the idea is very significant, as it talks about the process of decision making and implementation of the decision or non-implementation of the decisions. And I think in today's inaugural chapter, you have talked about, you have seen, you have analyzed various dimensions of governance. So first of all, I'd like to start with governance dynamics through NEP. And if we try to look at, then we find that it focuses on the changing world. As the world changes, we have to look at in a new way the whole knowledge landscape. So the dramatic scientific advancement, technological advancements are very significant to us. For example, the rise of big data, machine learning. Frequently, we are talking about ChatGPT nowadays, the artificial intelligence. So because of all these things, because of all these advances, many unskilled jobs worldwide may be taken over by the machines. while at the same time, the need for a skilled workforce, particularly involving mathematics, computer science, data science, in conjunction with multidisciplinary abilities across the sciences, social sciences and humanities will be increasingly in greater demand. So these are the issues that has been highlighted by NEP 2020. If you go through the NEP 2020 booklet, if you go through the policy paper, then you find that how NEP 2020 is focusing on these new changes, very specific changes. And at the same time, it has been emphasizing the need of mathematics, social science, sciences, which are in high demand. So at the same time, it has been talking about various dramatic scientific and technological advances. It has been talking about various issues of climate change, increasing pollution, depleting natural resources, and there will be a sizable shift in how we make the world's energy, water, food, and sanitation needs, again resulting in the needs for new skilled labor, particularly in biology, chemistry, physics, agriculture, climate science, and social science. I don't know the participants are from which discipline. I think I assume that a kind of multidisciplinary, Dr. Dipen, is it multidisciplinary group? Organizers? Whether participants are from different disciplines? Is it a multidisciplinary group?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So it's very important then because the target audience of this lecture is from all the disciplines, specifically what new education policy has also been emphasizing, that a kind of correlation, as a kind of multidisciplinary approach is to be taken to deal with the problems faced by the society, by the country, by the world. Therefore, the new ideas, new knowledge system on climate sciences are being developed. So the growing emergence of epidemics as collaborative research in infectious diseases, disease management, and development of vaccines, and the resultant social issues heightens the needs of multidisciplinary learning. So how social science could help the sanitation needs, how water sciences is being looked into for agriculture, so how physics will help energy crisis. So these things are very significantly linked with. So there will be at the same time, very important point, a growing demand for humanities and art as India moves towards becoming a developed country, as well as among the 3 largest economies of the world. So this is a very significant point, that there is a very significant role of humanities, social sciences, and art. So at this juncture, I'm trying to focus on the issue of governance. So we have seen how NEP is targeting various aspects of new challenges of scientific and technological advancement, and at the same time, how a kind of multidisciplinary approach has been highlighted. As you are all aware, if you are working in colleges and universities, then you find that the single stream colleges are being upgraded to multi-stream colleges. Multidisciplinary approach has been taken everywhere in NEP, and these are very essential part to look at the critical issues of governance, as the concept of governance is very critical. It's a process of decision making. learning of the process of decision making, the process of decision making itself, and the process by which decisions are implemented or not implemented. So if we look at the whole concept of governance, I think you have discussed, it's not a new concept, it's as old as civilization, but scientific study has been developing. So if we look at the Indian scenario, you find Kautilya's Arthashastra or Purana, Mahabharata, they are also very important. These are also very important books to understand various aspects of governance, but I'll not explain all these dimensions as how Kautilya says, Praja Sukhe Sukham Rajan, Prajanam cha hite hitam, na Atma Priyam hitam Rajan, Prajanam cha Priyam hitam. So, but if we look at the new ideas of decision making process, then the ideas are very significantly developing. And to make decision or to take decision, it's very essential to understand the background data, background knowledge. Therefore, a kind of multidisciplinary specializations are being very important. So I'll not explain all these things, but with the quickly changing employment landscape and global ecosystem, it is becoming increasingly critical that children not only learn, but more importantly, learn how to learn. So it's very significantly highlighted by the new education policy. And in governance practice, these process of learning, the new challenges of learning, new challenges of understanding various issues of society, various issues faced by the country is very challenging. Multidisciplinary, the word, quote unquote, the word is very simple, but while you go to implement, while you proceed to implement, it's not so easy. That how students are being looking at all these dynamics is to be very critical. So then the point, what is this critical thinking? Generally, new education policy is talking about critical thinking. Just I have pointed out that while we talk about governance, the process of decision making, so how decisions are being made. If we look at various scholarly articles or the process of decision making in public administration, we find various theories of decision making. So everywhere we find the importance of, if you look at all the theories, it's very basic that the background data or data collection from background is very important to reach any decision. Some theories are talking about alternatives, choosing of alternatives. That means, first of all, you have to find out all the probable alternatives. You have to collect data on all the alternatives and to choose and to select one very appropriate alternative. So at the same time, just coming back to new education policy, that it talks about think critically, it talks about innovation. So education must move towards, I have pointed out here, that less content and more towards learning about how to think critically and solve problems. So quote unquote solve problems. So it's to some extent, if you relate in the process of decision making, then what will be the role of critical thinking on solving problems, on decision making, on governance? And at the same time, the question is how to be creative and multidisciplinary. Multidisciplinary, the word sounds good, but how to make myself multidisciplinary? How to make yourself multidisciplinary? How to make our students, our children multidisciplinary? That's very important to look at, discuss. That's whether the multidisciplinary approach will create or develop a kind of ability to solve all the problems? Is it a kind of process through which we may reach the near to the process of decision making, or it will make some human being, create some human being who are not even capable to take appropriate decisions? What is true? So how to be creative and multidisciplinary, and at the same time, how to innovate? How to innovate? What is innovation? Is it a practice, or is it a kind of science, or it's a kind of knowledge pattern, or it's a kind of blessings of God? So innovation of Thomas Alva Edison, innovations of Sir Isaac Newton, and the innovative practice that we want to inculcate in our students, in our system, how to differentiate, or whether all are same? These are very significant questions. Maybe these are very hypothetical, but without which it's not possible to make an appropriate decision on governance practice or good governance practice. So how to be creative and multidisciplinary, how to innovate or to be innovative, adapt and absorb new material in novel and challenging field. Okay, is it okay? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
PowerPoint is visible?
Right now, sorry, your screen share is not coming, sir. Right now,
It's not, screen is not coming?
at present situation, sir. Previously, it is good.
Okay. Okay. It's okay now?
Yes, sir. This is visible. Now it is visible, sir.
Okay. Please tell me if I'm not audible or if screen is not visible to you.
Sure, sir.
Okay. So this is a very important dimension that which I want to focus on. Now, at this juncture, we have to look at governance, and simply put, governance. What is governance? It is administration cum management plus. So and hence more inclusive, more expansive, more citizen cum customer related, and more modernly contemporary. So here one thing is very important, that is customer related. That how the customer related question is very significantly focused on, because here the business thing has been coming up. So it's a management plus, it's a citizen oriented, and at the same time customer oriented or customer related. That is very significant to be looked into. Now, if you look at the process of pedagogy and curriculum in new education policy, just I am linking the both, that pedagogy must evolve to make education more experimental, holistic, integrated, inquiry driven, discovery oriented, learner centered, discussion based, flexible, and of course enjoyable. Now, curriculum must include basics of art, crafts, humanities, games, sports and fitness, language, literature, culture, and values, in addition to science and mathematics, to develop all aspects and capabilities of learners and make education more well-rounded, useful, and fulfilling to the learner. Now, if you look at the pedagogy and curriculum technique of this new education policy, then what you find that very significantly it has been looking at various aspects of learners. So if you look at some of the important dynamics like inquiry driven, that how to make the pedagogy and curriculum inquiry driven, discussion based, enjoyable, it's very significant. And these are the parts of creating good human resources for good decision making. And good decision making is very significantly related in the process of governance, because governance is nothing but the process of decision making. Now, at the same time, the aim of education is very significantly to be looked into, which it talks about education must build character, enable learners to be ethical, rational, compassionate, and caring, while at the same time prepare them for gainful and fulfilling employment. So employment on the one hand, and on the other, character, ethics, rationality. So, so many other things are in the two sides of the coin. So how to look at the one point that what I'm focusing in the process of understanding governance, that administration come management plus and citizen come customer oriented, that the customer orientation and the question of ethics, question of character, and how to develop these characters in every field, all the fields of life. Employment on the one hand, and the character building on the other hand, ethical dimension on the other, rationality on the other, compassionate and caring attitude on the other. These things are very, to be very balancing. So it's a very ethical process to look into the governance dynamics that is being highlighted by new education policy. And at this juncture, in this base, if we look at the concept of governance, then we find that it's based on a kind of larger visionary platform, that it talks about the whole idea of governance is not a kind of limited to the process of decision making or implementation of decision. It talks about a holistic picture of the various dynamics of pattern of governance, state, administration, so on and so forth. Therefore, minimal state is one of the pattern, one of the dynamics of governance. It also talks about new public management. Good governance is incorporated there. Corporate governance is there. Social cybernetic systems is there, and self-organized networks. So many other things are related to the whole concept of governance. So the minimal state identifies very significant dynamics, that the role of the state after globalization. I think you are observing that while the concept of governance has been developed, specifically the idea of governance, good governance, they are very practically emerged since 1990s, 1991, 1992. The book has been published, The Reinventing Government, written by David Osborne and Ted Gabler. I think you are aware about that. And at the same time, World Bank also popularized the term good governance. And since then, if you look at the LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization policies that has been taken by the states, including India, we have taken the new economic policy in 1991. Since then, you are looking at those countries who have agreed to that process of globalization and liberalization and privatization, you find a kind of the role of the state has been diminishing. I repeat, the role of the state has been diminishing and the role of the market has been increasing. So the state has been withdrawing itself from various aspects where it was a, a kind of very significant player. For example, you have seen that it has been coming out from various sectors. I'll not give you examples. Maybe you may see in your nearby area, the airport is being given to private parties. So many industries are being given to privates. The Navaratnas are being, the role of the state has been diminishing. The role of the market has been increasing. Market has been playing. It's not only a kind of Indian phenomena. It has been a kind of practice all over the globe, that how market has been making their advancement and the state has been withdrawing its role. So in this particular framework, you may look at the new public management phenomena, which is a very significant phenomena of this development. That new public management has been talking about the withdrawal of the state. It talks about efficiency. It talks about economy. It talks about effectiveness. And through these dimensions, it has been looking at a very different picture. It has been looking at a kind of different endeavor that if you are, you may probably be able to continue your work. If you are not efficient, you may process of work. So the whole process, the whole understanding similarly, the economy things are very significant here. That how to look at the new economic patterns, how to understand these dynamics, and if you look at the same time, while the new public management system is introduced in United Kingdom by Margaret Thatcher administration in 1979, what they have done, they have evaluated the efficiency level of government organizations, ministries, and what they have done, they have removed thousands of inefficient administrators from their service, and they tried through this process to make administration more effective, and they have described that as a kind of economic measure also. So it's very interesting. If you look at the whole process of corporate governance, good governance, I'll come to that, social cybernetic systems and self-organized networks, and specifically the new public management pattern or minimal state. I'm talking about governance. All these things are within the parameter of governance. That it talks about downsizing the bureaucracy. It talks about various other aspects like the debureaucratization process. It talks about decentralization of the decision making. That is very important. And it also talks about new managerialism, which is a very significant concept of managerialism. And privatization is there, and performance evaluation is also there. So if you look at the process of downsizing the public apparatus and the narrowing down of the number of employees that state employs is very deep rooted in the process of understanding of the new pattern of governance. Therefore, if you go through David Osborne and Ted Gabler's book, that is Reinventing Government, which I have already referred to, which specifically focuses on entrepreneurial governance system. It talks about various measures of governance, various systems of governance. For example, it talks about community-owned government. I think you are aware about community policing, community, so many things. So it talks about community-owned government. How it talks about community-owned government? It says a kind of strengthening and empowering communities to solve their own problems. Look at a kind of new dimension that the government from the center, government from federal structure, sitting in Washington, DC, sitting in New Delhi, sitting in London, they are not in a position in changing dynamics to resolve the problems. They say that it is necessary to strengthen and to empower communities to solve their own problems. Therefore, the community-owned government system is very important. Therefore, we have seen in case of India also after 73rd and 74th Amendment, we have encouraged the Panchayati Raj system to resolve their own problems. I think if you are aware that 11th and 12th schedules are being incorporated in the Constitution of India with 29 and 18 subjects. And we have seen that the two tier of division of power through 7th schedule, that union and state, is being again decentralized. And the third tier has been created at the local level. That's very interesting. Now, they also talk about competitive government, very interesting. So I think you are aware about that, that it says injecting competition. I repeat, injecting competition into service delivery by rewarding efficiency and economy. That's what I have just some time back I have talked about in Thatcher administration, during Margaret Thatcher administration, how the efficient officers were being rewarded and inefficient officers is being removed. So injecting competition into service delivery by rewarding efficiency and economy. So at the same time, they are talking about catalytic government. So where government engaged in steering rather than rowing. Very interesting. They're talking about mission-driven government. I think you have seen in a new formulation after new economic policy that the so many missions, for example, the Horbachika mission, health mission, livelihood mission, so many other missions. That means a kind of target transforming the rule-driven government into a mission mode orientation. That means mission-oriented government system. So it identifies that government may formulate through missions some target, and with mission mode practice a kind of fulfillment of these targets. So therefore, result orientation will come. Result-oriented government is also a very significant aspect of the new concept of governance, where I think you are aware that funding outcomes and target achievements or goal-directed efforts are being highlighted. So as I have pointed out very significantly the idea of customer orientation. I think if you are aware that the customer orientation is one of the very important dynamics of the governance pattern, not the government, but the governance pattern, that customer citizen is being transformed into customer. Therefore, customer driven government is very significant in governance. Earlier in government, all were citizens. The idea of customer was not so much popularized. But now the meeting and working towards customers is very important. That I think the Jan Dhan Khata or the banking operation, that how the government has been highlighting the Mudra Yojana and opening bank khata, and everywhere you find some kind of uh, uh, process where the citizens are being transformed into customer. May it be not very practically focused in India, but where you find the practice of minimal state or new public management perfectly, you may find such type of customer orientation more clearly. So at the same time, you find a kind of shift in governance pattern. You find a shift of government to enterprising government. If you compare governments of 1950s, 1960s, and in 2020, 2023, you find it's a kind of change. It's a kind of shift towards enterprising government. What is the change? This change, if you look at very carefully, then you find that more emphasis on earning and resource mobilization rather than spending. So governments, if governments are trying the or focusing on process of earning and resource mobilization, then you understand that how governments are enterprising government. And this is a very unique phenomena of governance pattern. And at the same time, so many other form of orientation, that anticipatory government, which is highlighted by David Osborne and Ted Gebler, identification and prevention before occurrence of the problems. So if you look at all these dynamics very carefully, then you find how the whole process of governance through minimal state, through new public management, through good governance, corporate governance, social cybernetic systems, and self-organized networks are working on. So if you look at these dynamics of the whole process of changing nature of governance pattern, then you find that some devolution of authority. You find these are economic terms, but these are very essential. The cost reduction, contracting out of some of the very important functions of government, contracting out. That means you may transfer to someone, maybe the private party, maybe other authorities. For example, the Horaigat Bridge in 1950s, 60s, it was being made by the government. But nowadays, the bridges over Brahmaputra, maybe you may take example of bridge in Dhubri, that is being constructed by Japanese company. The train, new bullet train or whatever the train route, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, is by private party of some other countries. So contracting out of some of the operative functions of government is very new phenomena in governance pattern. Developing and designing result-oriented appraisal system, and very importantly, the commercialization as well as market orientation of the government activities. So this is to be supported again by effective accountability. Please look at this. I will come to that point. While we look at good governance, we'll look at how accountability, participation, or transparency works, that all these things are being supported by effective accountability. And the administration at this juncture has to be moved from rule to result orientation. Rule to result, that's very important. From system to enterprise. From system to enterprise. System is not so much important. Enterprise is important. Rule is not so much important as Max Weber was talking about, but the result is important in governance. Obedience to reward. Obedience to reward. It's a shift. Inaction to action. It's a change. Centralization to decentralization. It's a change. And duties, from duties of administrators to the right of citizens. Duties of administrators to shift from duties of administrators to the rights of the citizens. So it's a shift. So what are the rights or duties of administrators? Administrators are no longer important. Like British period, how the babus and the hakims, the system is no longer important. Important is citizens' rights, the rights of the citizen. So the whole process of governance actually broadly aims at a kind of entrepreneurial role of public organizations with a market-based public administration resulting in effectiveness and economy in the functioning of public organizations. That is the basic thrust area, that a kind of entrepreneurial role. The book has also been talking about the David Osborne's and Ted Gabner's book, that it's a kind of very new idea, that entrepreneurial rule of public organizations, entrepreneurial role of the government with a market-based public administration, market-based pattern of governance, resulting in effectiveness and economy in the functioning of public organizations. So if you look at this doctrine of governance, then it has been related to the business, it has been related to the industrials, it has been related to the public sector. And what is the result? So if you look at the outcomes, outputs made through research, that the researchers have developed a more demanding approach towards public organizations, assuming that they can perform their duties better than they used to do in the past. So they have their capability. The public organizations have their capability. They didn't do anything up to the mark. They were capable, but their capability was not being used. Now, after putting this into scenario, efficiency, economy, and effectiveness, what is observed, that the public organizations, they can perform their duties better than they used to do in past by changing the management, changing the structure, changing the internal organizational culture strategies. So internal organizational culture is very important. It establishes a kind of correlation between performance and rewards in the public sector. I repeat, it establishes a kind of correlation between performance and rewards. So why do bureaucratic activities take so long to actualize? The questions are very important in this pattern of governance, new idea of governance. If we have to implement in India, if we have to implement everywhere, it's essential to implement in your college, in your university, in your community, as we have seen community-owned government. So why do bureaucratic activities take so long to actualize? Why is there no sufficient effort to measure and supervise the public sector's performance and public sector services? So this approach is very important, therefore. So all these things are very significantly to be looked into, carefully to be looked into, and very conceptually to go through. So the idea of new managerialism. So what is new managerialism in this? I think it's in this process of liberalization and market-driven management, which I have referred to. I must focus on new managerialism, and that you may think about it, that it's a it's a guiding influence on how champions of liberalization and market-driven management conceptualize administrative leadership. So, what is emphasized uh, in this process? So, it's the need. There is a need to inculcate effective entrepreneurial skills to the administrative leaders. That is the need. That is the idea that, as I have referred, I am repeatedly referring the Margaret Thatcher's administration, that how almost 12,000 administrators are being removed, quote unquote, 12,000 administrators inefficient, identified inefficient administrators were removed to make administration effective, to make administration efficient. So, at this juncture, the question is asked, one question emerges in our mind, that what is emphasized, uh, that is the need to inculcate effective entrepreneurial skills to the administrative leaders. So this neo-managerialism is a matter of updated version of the older Taylorism. I think you are very much aware about the theory, the Taylorism, that F.W. Taylor has been pronounced. Older Taylorism mixed with public choice theory, mixed with agency theory, mixed with transaction post economics. So I think these things are very important to be understood, to understand actually what the pattern of governance is. That is now, I think you have all read the scientific management theory propounded by F.W. Taylor, or the Taylorism as such, and how the public choice theory nowadays, the agencies theory nowadays, or transaction post economics nowadays has been focusing new kinds of managerialism, new kinds of administrative leadership, which are very significantly applicable in the recent process of understanding governance. So, if we look at under this backdrop, the whole process of understanding governance is very critical. Now, if we go through, okay. So if we go through the process of governance at this juncture, that's its new entry in the social scientific discussion, where neoliberal view started downplaying the state and overvaluing the market. I think you have already seen the picture very clearly, that how the neoliberal state is overvaluing the market, as the trend was set to decenter the state from the monopoly status in social control. The state is no longer in this central position. The market has been capturing. I'm not saying it's India. I'm not saying it's this state or that state, but the trend is there in all the states. So at this juncture, the idea of governance gained prominence, connoting a plurality of actors, replacing the state's monopoly to rule. And there is the basic point of, there we find the basic point of entry of the concept of governance. Now, the minimal state, the idea that what we have already discussed, it's a very that the emergence of the concept in recent times is indicative of the emergence of a more plural political world and declining the role of the nation state. So how that the plural political world is coming up and the declining role of the nation state. So the role of the state has been diminishing. That's what we are talking about. And why this? How we look at this juncture, the idea, the origin of the idea of governance. If we look at the origin of the idea of governance, then we find that a kind of three-dimensional origin. That number one is the positing of market as a competing social authority and bringing in civil society. One very new concept again is coming up, the concept of civil society, the market dominance. And secondly, the role of international funding authorities, their concern, specifically the concern of World Bank and their popularization of the term of the globalization and the newly emergent globalization trend. This globalization trend is very big. It's a kind of socio-economic integration of the world, propelled by economic, technological, and political considerations. So within these three dimensions, we find so many areas to be focused, and government in this juncture, government which we generally understand as executive, legislature, and judiciary, is one of the actors of governance only. It's only one simple actor of governance. Governance is a kind of large paradigm, and other actors may be influential landlords, associations of peasant farmers, cooperatives, NGOs, religious leaders, research institutes, political parties, financial institutions, military, etc. And the situation in urban areas is much more complex. It's not. This list is not a kind of complete list. So many other institutions and groups may come together apart from government. Now, we have seen that civil society is a new concept that has been coming up after the neoliberalist restraint, that how civil society plays a very important role in governance paradigm. That is very significant. Now, all the actors other than government and military are grouped together as part of the civil society. So generally we talk about civil society, for example, this Lokpal movement or the ombudsmanic movement by Anna Hazare. We talked about civil society movement. We talk about civil society in different occasions in Assam also. So in some places, in addition to civil society, some organized crime syndicates. I think the syndicate is a very popular word to all of us in newspapers. It comes regularly that these organized crime syndicates also influence decision making very, very in a big way, particularly in urban areas. So in this governance pattern, these groups, civil society, the crime syndicates, they are also playing a very important role. This may be negative role, positive role that you may discuss, but they are playing the role that's correct. Now, if we look at civil society in a more deeper way, then I think you have read Jürgen Habermas. His philosophy is very important to understand that. Just I have mentioned some of the dimensions here. That Habermas said that the public sphere encourages rational will formation, and it is a sphere of rational and domestic social interaction. Very interesting that public sphere encourages what? Rational will formation. So you may ask question that whether the will of the civil society is rational will, who guarantee it? So it is a sphere of rational and democratic social interaction. How? So Habermas analyzes civil society as a sphere of commodity, I quote, commodity exchange and social labor, unquote, and public sphere as a part of political realm. Again, interesting. So Habermas again argues that even though society was representative of capitalist society, there are some institutions that were part of political society. Therefore, we find the importance of civil society. Now, at this juncture, I'm trying to focus on good governance. Now we are coming to good governance. So, good governance could be seen under this backdrop only. So simply it may be put it as efficient, effective, and legitimate government. And good governance, it's an adjectival expression. Governance, good governance, adjectival expression connotes some kind of value assumptions. Now, good governance refers to adoption of new values of governance to establish greater efficiency, legitimacy, credibility of the system. So, you have seen that as a kind of adjectival connotation. uh, a good governance refers so many dynamics. Now, to understand these dynamics, I am referring here good governance index that in case of India, we have started good governance index. Now, if we look at the good governance uh, index, then GGI, what is GGI? What is good governance index? This is a tool to assess the status of governance and impact of various interventions taken up by the state government and union territories. My point is here, I am trying to actually focus through focusing good governance index. What is my point? My point is to project that good governance could be counted. You may count good governance, that whether good governance is there in your university, whether good governance is there in your college, whether good governance is actually working in your state of Assam, whether good governance is actually working in this state, that state, or in India, or in USA, or in China. So this, you may count it, you may categorize it, you may give marks on it. That means 5 marks, 6 marks, 100 marks, so on and so forth. So to understand that, to understand good governance index, in India, you find some indicators are being developed. These all are, you may differ, you may create new indicators also, no problem. And I think you have seen that to evaluate good governance or to make good governance index, these are the indicators are being created: agriculture and allied sectors, economic governance, commerce and industries, public infrastructure and utilities, human resource development, public health, citizen-centric governance, environment, judicial and public security, social welfare development, so on and so forth. Now, if you look at the good governance index in India, I'm trying to focus on state-wise rank. I'm not trying to show you the which state is first or which state is second, third. Just I want to focus that good governance could be countable. In India, 3 categories are being made: big states, northeastern hill states, and union territories. And if you look at in this year, that Tamil Nadu is at the top among the big states, Himachal Pradesh is top among the northeastern hill states, and union territories category Pondicherry is at the top. Now, again, the sector-wise, if you look at agriculture and allied sector, some states were at the top in different categories. My point is, again, I repeat, not to show which state is at the top or which is at the bottom or where. My point is how you count good governance. I'll come to that point gradually. So good governance index, this 2020, sector-wise, again, commerce and industry sector, this is the picture. And again, public health sector, this is the picture. Now, I'm coming to the actual point. I'm coming to the actual point, actually what I would like to focus. So you have already seen that in this sector, this state was at the top in big state categories. This state was the top at the northeastern hill state category. This state is top at the union territories category, or what were the positions. Now, how these positions are being calculated? I repeat, how these positions are being calculated. For example, public health. If you take the public health category, all the categories are put together later and the ranks were being determined. Now, how to rate the public health category for Assam, for Puducherry, for Mizoram, for Tamil Nadu, for Bihar. Okay, now come down to the grassroots point that infant mortality rate, IMR, weightage 0.3. Maternal mortality ratio, MMR, 0.3. Total fertility rate, TFR, 0.1 weightage. Immunization achievement, 0.1. Availability of doctors and paramedical staff in PHCs, public health hospitals, that 0.1. And operationalization of 24/7 facility in PHCs, 0.1. Now, automatically, while you put so many other formulations are there, automatically you may categorize that which state is at the top, which may get more marks, which may get less marks, so on and so forth. Similarly, just I'm putting some examples only. You may go into the deeper later while you find time to understand good governance. It's not a kind of, my point is, it's not a kind of hypothetical term, imaginatory term to imagine only. It's a term which is very practical to your state, practical to your institution. For example, public infrastructure and utility sector. The Tamil Nadu is at the top, Himachal Pradesh is in this second category, it's top, Chandigarh is in third category, Union Territories category top. Okay, my point is not to show which is top, which is bottom. Point is, in public infrastructure and utilities categories, how to find out the weightage of the state. If access to potable water is available completely, then the state may get 0.25 weightage. If towns declared ODF, then 0.10. Village declare ODF. So then you get point. Otherwise, you will not get point. Connectivity to rural habitations. The Bharat Nirman things will come. What is Bharat Nirman? That I'll focus on that. So connectivity is Bharat Nirman is basically a kind of process through which the urban facilities are being created in rural areas. That the rural urban connectivity, the Indira Awas, the home for people, these things are very important. So connectivity to rural habitations. Now just fixed to this point that 0.10, access to clean cooking fuel, LPG, PNG, whatever, these marks, access to power supply, availability to 24/7 power supply, then only will get 0.05 marks weightage. That 24 into power supply. If power cuts are there, you'll not get the marks. If you find 24/7 power supply in Tamil Nadu will get full marks. If you get 24 into power supply in Assam, then Assam will get full marks. If this is negative, then you will not get marks. Your good governance will go down. If you get marks, your good governance will go up. So energy availability against requirement. If you require, if you get, it's okay, you will get marks. Growth in per capita power consumption. Power consumption is very important for development. Actually, more and more power if consumed, then it's a kind of identification of your progress. So many other dynamics are there. So these are the some of the dynamics that I have shown to you, that how good governance, how the governance paradigm is being calculated. So you have seen in public health, you have seen in public infrastructure. Similarly, in all the categories, this type of weightage system, this type of calculation, the process of calculations are being developed. May it be public health, may it be public infrastructure, may it be social welfare and development, may it be environment, may it be citizen-centric governments. Everywhere there are mechanisms to calculate good governance, to calculate governance paradigm. So many small indicators are being developed. So many, I have shown you a very few. The list is very long, very long. So while you collect data adequately from all the sectors, then automatically you will find that whether in which state your good governance is locating. That means what is your, what performance, what is Assam's performance, what is Bihar's performance, what is Tamil Nadu's performance, what is Madhya Pradesh's performance, automatically we'll get. So my point is, you may calculate it, and for that region, it's very important. It's not hypothetical. And another important dynamics at this process is good governance to be analyzed through various other mechanisms. For example, these features of good governance are very important: participation, rule of law, transparency, responsiveness, consensus orientation, equity, effectiveness and efficiency, strategic vision. So many other dynamics are also there. These are not, the features are not limited to these 8, but I have taken this from second ARC report, referring here. These are the most important features of good governance. Now, I'm coming to Bharat Nirman. Just for some time, and I will try to link it with sustainable development and again good governance and governance. Now, at this juncture of understanding good governance, understanding governance, and very specifically the good governance index, preparing good governance index. Now, what is Bharat Nirman? Background is the vision of Mahatma Gandhi, and Mahatma Gandhi had a vision to develop rural India and advocated that all villages would be made self-sufficient. So organizers, up to, it's already 3:30, till what time I'll get to speak?
You can proceed, sir. You can proceed.
Okay, good. If time is over, please let me know.
No, sir, you can proceed.
Okay.
You can take your time, sir.
Okay. So this vision is very important, that the vision is that all villages would be made self-sufficient. I think you may explain it as Ram Rajya or whatever, you know all these things, but the self-sufficiency of villages in all aspects, that was the very basic vision of Mahatma Gandhi. So therefore, development of rural India is an imperative for inclusive and equitable growth, and to unlock huge potential of the population that is presently trapped in poverty with its associated deprivations in villages. You have seen that after COVID, according to government data, that 80 crore of Indian citizens, I think they are getting this very minimum food grains for their survival and all these things. So this identifies a kind of very huge poverty in India, that almost more than half of the population of the country are living on the minimum benefits. That means the food items provided by the government, they are surviving. So at this juncture, therefore, it's very important to create a kind of self-sufficient village, self-sufficient system in the village. So therefore, the Bharat Nirman is a concept which is basically focused on that. And the Bharat Nirman program was launched by the government of India in 16 December 2005. And the main objective of the scheme is to develop the infrastructure in rural areas and to make more developed in comparison to urban areas. And the Ministry of Rural Development is the nodal agency for governing this particular scheme. And if you go visit the Ministry of Rural Development's website, you find so many aspects of Bharat Nirman. But as of now, we have seen 6 components which are included under this Bharat Nirman program. It's very specific. It's very specific. Bharat Nirman is again not a kind of hypothetical program. Is not a kind of program which is not related to the people. It's directly related to people. It's related to every aspect of the people. Therefore, you have seen here irrigation, drinking water, Electrification, I have already pointed out the power consumption, the ratio of power consumption is how it's important. Roads, housing, and rural telephony. So these are the very significant components of Bharat Nirman. Irrigation at the top, drinking water again, electrification, roads, housing, and rural telephony. Now, Bharat Nirman, good governance, and sustainable development goals. Okay, till now I have not talked about sustainable development goals to you, which is again a very significant concept. Not only a kind of concept, it's now a very important dimension to be understood or to be looked into to make ourselves self-sufficient, make people self-sufficient. So just a very introduction in nutshell that the sustainable development goals incorporate 17 goals, and these goals were taken in 2015. UNDP, United Nations Development Program, has created, but that means developed these goals, 17 goals, to be completed by 2030. 2030. Now 2023. Now 7 years are being left. Before that, just I would like to refer the background. In 2000, 8 goals were taken by UNDP. These were called MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, and 8 goals were there to be completed by 2015. By 2015, some of the goals, parts of the goals were being completed, some of the goals are not being completed, and UNDP analyzed the success and failure rate, and after that, analyzing MDGs, success and failures of MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, new set of goals, 17 goals were taken, created, and these are the 17 goals. And aim has been, target has been taken to be completed these goals by 2030. Now a very basic difference between MDGs and SDGs are there. MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, were only for the targeting only for the developing countries. Now these Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, are for the whole globe, irrespective of developed and developing countries. So very significant. Therefore, these are again very significant. But if you come to the goals, if you look at the goals, then these are very basic. I repeat, these are very, very, very basic. For example, I think you are all aware that the first goal under SDG is no poverty. No poverty. That means it has, I have already pointed out that 80 crore of Indians are getting food grains or very minimum rations from government for their survival after COVID or during COVID. So, if you look at the whole globe, the poverty ratio is very, very high. The countries, most of the countries are facing poverty in this way or that way. So therefore, no poverty, that is, which is the first goal of SDG, has been trying to eliminate extreme poverty, to end extreme poverty in all forms by 2030. And if you look at the data, you find that in 2000, the world committed to cutting the number of people living in extreme poverty by half in 15 years. And UNDP met this goal. But poverty again is existing. And more than, according to their data, UNDP's data, that 800 million people around the world, I repeat, 800 million people around the world still living in less than maybe 100 rupees per day. According to them, it's $1.25, $1 $1.25 less than. So it's almost 110 or something rupees one day. So it's very extreme. And what is the second goal? Second goal is zero hunger, which is related to no poverty. Very 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 basic problem of the society, that they say that hunger has been dropping gradually in so many countries, but many countries still are used to suffer from famine and hunger. Uh, and if they are facing such type of hunger and local famines, then what about their nutritional needs? The nutritional needs, who will look after the nutritional needs of these vulnerable people? And according to their data, nearly 1 out of every 9 people on the earth go to bed hungry every night. So 1 out of every 9 people, 9জনের ভিতৰত এজন, 1 out of every 9 people on earth go to bed hungry every night. So imagine the severity of the problem. So where the question of hunger is there? Now, where is the question of nutrition? Where is the question of good health? So the SDGs, the goal number 2, has been trying to resolve this issue by 2030. Now, similarly, the third goal is good health and well-being. And fourth goal is quality education. Fifth goal is gender equality. Sixth goal is clean water and sanitation. And similarly, I'll not repeat all the goals, but I request all of you to go through these goals, which are very basic and fundamental. And therefore, I repeat, therefore, it's very essential to link for ourselves, for this country, for India, to link sustainable development goals, Bharat Nirman, and good governance. Therefore, it's essential. Therefore, I repeat, it's essential to link sustainable development goals, zero hunger, sustainable development goals, no poverty, sustainable development goal, good health and well-being, sustainable development goal, quality education, sustainable development goal, gender equality, sustainable development goal, clean water and sanitation, to good governance, to Bharat Nirman, to make ourselves strong. So how good governance, sustainable development goals, and Bharat Nirman are to be related, are to be made more perfectly integrated? These are very important questions. Now, good governance says participation. Good governance talks about various other forms of measures. For example, accountability, transparency. Now, if we look at participation, participation identifies that all men and women should have a voice in decision making. So policy making, decision making, policy making, what kind of policies are to be made directly or through legitimate intermediate institutions. And again, such broad participation is built on freedom of association and speech, as well as capacities to participate constructively, meaning to give voice to the voiceless in the process of decision making, meaning decisions are to be made in a way that it must affect, I repeat, it must affect, contribute something to the people who need benefits out of the decision, from the decisions. Then only participation works. And the basics of participation is a kind of empowered participation. We generally talk about in good governance, not a kind of very passive participation. A very active participation is being encouraged. And that participation must be empowered participation. Empowerment is therefore linked with participation. And again, informed participation. I repeat, informed participation. While people participate with full of information, therefore, along with the good governance, right to information, these things are being very, the citizens charter, these things are very cordially related. Therefore, informed participation. While people go to participate, for example, in village level meeting, maybe Gaon Sabha, which is village parliament. If they have informations, then they participate well. And if such type of Gaon Sabhas are being very, they go and participate very, sit down and don't speak anything. If they have no information, then it's a kind of futile exercise. Information, availability of information make people strong, their participation more lively. And if participation is strong, if voiceless must get voices at the time of decision making, then decisions will come out appropriately to give them benefit. The people will get benefit. And then only the whole idea will be a kind of successful one. Now, if we look at this process of understanding that the process of Bharat Nirman, may it be irrigation, may it be drinking water, may it be electrification, may it be roads, housing, or rural telephoning, that how decisions are being taken. This is very important. So many studies are coming out that in some villages, drinking water facilities are given by the government, but people are not accepting at all. The water is flowing from the pipes of the drinking water supply taps. People are not taking water. Later on, studies come out that actually the water supply scheme is not needed for a particular village. They're not even taking. So this is a kind of bad decision. So therefore, it has been very important. A kind of decision must be taken with people's participation. So if you look at, therefore, participation is necessary for Bharat Nirman. And if you look at this juncture, the education policy, then the National Education Policy 2020 is the first education policy in the 21st century and aims to address many growing developmental imperatives of our country. Now, I'm discussing all the things through different SDG goals, but I think time is running out. I think some question answer session is also be needed, and later other things may be discussed through question answer. I have prepared many things, but I think today I should stop here. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Jayanta Sharma, sir. Now the session is open for the participants. Jayanta Sharma, sir, is here. You can ask Sharma, sir. If there are any queries or questions, you can raise. You can unmute your voice record and ask any question relating to this topic. I think there is no any questions because Jayanta Sharma sir has delivered his lecture very efficiently and very clearly.
Okay, then.
Sir, Jayanta Sharma sir have delivered a thought-provoking and also a research-oriented topic. The topic is have been attract the attention of intellectuals and scholars and also the common people. You made a comparative study of the states and their governments of India at large. The tables and the data will definitely help the young researchers. You also touched the NAP 2020, which are launching in the colleges of the new academic session 23-24. In the later part, you The session like you touch the Bharat Nirman, you carries the dreams of Mahatma Gandhi on his vision to develop rural India, become self-sufficient. The 6 components required for Bharat Nirman, and you place it very nicely. Thank you very much, sir. We heard a lot about you, but we have fortunate to see in this platform. I thank Dr. Dipen Das and all the authorities of ethnic studies for inviting such type of learned person, Dr. Jayanta, Professor Jayanta Sharma, sir. And thank you very much, sir.
I thank
Sir.
everyone. I thank everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you, sir. There is a query from the participant in the chat box. One question is there, sir.
Okay.
From Daisy Rani Talukdar. We have seen this question. In relation to good governance, where does the governance of autonomous council lies? I think sir has left the group. Dear participants, if you have any doubt, any query regarding the presentation, definitely you can interact with the speaker, sir, directly. There is no need to write in the chat box. You can directly talk to the speaker. This is a request for all the participants.
Yes, Dr. Dipen Das, I already said that you can unmute yourself and ask the question directly to the Professor Sharma, sir. Is any queries and any questions, Dr. Dipen Das? Over to you, Dr. Dipen Das. Dr. Dipen Das, can I say something? Dear participants, in this session, it is noticed that the participant, his name is as Primika Hagzar. She or he opened the video all the time, and it misbehaves. I request the learned person to switch off the video portion. Yes, now she is coming. Name is Primika Hagzar. Requesting her to switch off the video section.
Yes, sir. I was not aware. Sorry, sir. I was not aware of the video.
But it hampers a lot, no? Sorry to interrupt you, but it hampers a lot in all the times.
Okay, sorry, sir. I was not aware.
But this is a platform. This type of misbehavior do not suit for us people, na? We are learned people.
Sir, I was not aware whether my video, when I joined, I off the video and I have muted my speaker.
No, no,
Then
no, no, it is all the time. You open your video. I'm requesting you for next time. You look after that. Huh?
Okay,
over
sure,
to you,
sir.
Dr.
I will
Deependas.
make sure that I.
Over to you, Dr. Deependas.
কিবা নতুন কমিটি এখন বনাইছে নেকি?